Good morning. Welcome to the Women in Leadership, Body, Mind, Soul, and Business podcast. I'm Charlie.
And I'm Heather. Together, we are working to connect women in leadership, to build relationships, empower each other, improving the health and wellness of our community, body, mind, and soul, sharing the heart and soul of who we are and what we do.
Today's guest has a way with the spiritual world that you would have to experience to believe. She is incredible and amazing. She has a way of helping guide or support the energy transition between life and death. Please welcome to the table, Francine Hatley.
Good morning.
Good morning. We're so blessed to have you today. We've known you for a while, and you just have this magical way with the spirit. So go ahead and take a minute to introduce yourself and a little bit about who you are and what it is you do.
Yeah, so my name is Francine Hatley. I'm a psychic medium. I'm also a Reiki master. So I work with energy, and that's what spirits are really. It's all about energy. Energy is all around us. And I've had this gift all of my life. I was born this way. So I've had my imaginary friends from when I was little. They weren't imaginary. They were actually ghosts. They were spirits that would either come visit me, like grandparents, or they were people that lived in the houses before we got there. So very interesting growing up. Didn't discover that I was really different from others until I was around 8 years old. And we went to New Mexico to visit some of my mom's family. And her uncle had kept a portrait of her father for her. And so he brought it out and unveiled it so she could look at it. And I remember pointing at the picture, telling her that that was my friend that I'd had since I was little. And his name was Paulo. And my oldest brother's name is Paul. And so she thought that I was always talking about my brother Paul, until I was pointing at the picture saying, that's Paulo, that's my friend. And yeah, it's kind of weird. And my great uncle looked at my mom and said, okay, so she's the one in your family that got the gift. So apparently this was passed down through my mother's father's lineage. So his mom had this gift, had similar gifts. She was completely blind by the time she was, I think, 80. But she just knew everything that was going on. She used all of her other senses, obviously, to get around, but she would know when people had died because they would come and visit her and tell her that they were no longer here. And so she just she knew these things. And my mom was always like, how does she know this stuff? So it was very interesting. So yeah, so that's kind of me in a nutshell. I kind of, grew up learning as I went along because I didn't have a mentor, so to speak, to tell me how to shield myself or tell me that I could tell ghosts and spirits, to set boundaries and say, okay, I'm going to bed now. You can't bother me, while I'm sleeping. You can't wake me up or whatever. So it wasn't until I was probably in my early 30s before I actually had figured out what I was supposed to do with this gift. And I think I'm not the only psychic that has, as they're growing up and trying to figure out what to do with these gifts, that has at one time or another said, I don't want them. Why do I have this? And try to ignore it. The problem is the more you try to ignore something, the more it like pushes back to a point until you can't ignore it anymore. And that's pretty much how I was by my late 20s, early 30s, especially since all of my children have inherited some of my gifts, if not all of my gifts. So trying to explain to my little kids why they're seeing things, and my husband's been very supportive, but it's like, no. Well, let's find out why they're here and what they want. So it wasn't the typical, mommy, there's a monster under my bed. There's, mommy, I got up to get a glass of water and there's a man standing in the hallway looking at me. Okay, let's find out what he wants.
Right? It's a totally different approach that
And then
takes the
your
fear out
kids
of it.
didn't have to go through that by themselves like you did.
Right, correct. And that was one of my main goals in trying to get a handle on my gifts, was if I can get a handle on my gifts, I can then help my children as they grow up and grow into those gifts. So that was my main goal. It wasn't really to do this as a business, but those who needed me have always found me through word of mouth.
Mhm.
So I've always had at least 1 or 2 clients each year, and then that's kind of spread. So, which has been really nice. So I think I've helped a lot of people. At least I'd
Right.
like to think I have.
Yeah.
Would you tell us a little bit about what Reiki is for people that don't know what it is?
So Reiki is energy healing. So when you do Reiki on someone, you are connecting to that universal energy that's all around us. And you're bringing that healing energy through you and into your client. So you are working on an energetic level. So the best way to explain this is, we know that we have energy that goes in our body, right? That's how our brain fires. That's how our heart works, right? It's all an electrical current. I'm able to tap into that and help their cells, which are also running on energy, on electrical currents, remember how to heal themselves. So it helps with a wide variety of issues: insomnia, um, side effects of radiation and chemotherapy, if you're going through those types of things. It can help with anxiety, depression, general aches and pains, those types of things. It also gives me the ability to kind of look into the body and tell them what other issues might be happening. So if they've got issues with plaque in their blood, like cholesterol, might want to go talk to your doctor about cholesterol medication, or, change your diet. Or if they've got digestive issues, I can make recommendations on what they might be able to do to help alleviate those things. So it really helps me to just kind of help their bodies to remember how to help themselves. So you can do it long distance. So I don't have to be in the same room with you. I don't have to be in the same country as you. I've had clients as far away as Uzbekistan, Japan, Australia, England, New Zealand. I've had them Canada, India, all over the world. I've had
That's
clients.
amazing.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
I love,
Isn't that fun?
I've recently experienced some energy work from afar and connecting in a woman's circle. And it was really amazing to me how connected you could feel and still being, in your own space and not next to someone. It was so amazing. Like, I was really impressed with that level of connection. And in this world right now where people, are still afraid to go do stuff, we are getting out more, but and safely doing so. This is a great way for you to reset your energy and, figure out like what's going on with you. Like, if you, haven't been out and about, like, I love that you can do it from anywhere. That's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll do Zoom calls, or I'll just do it on like Facebook Messenger calls if they want it, video. If they want, I'll even just make a phone call to them rather than having to use a camera. If they don't want a camera at all, we can just do it through a phone call. Or if they don't want to connect even through a phone call, just through text messages, I can text them and say, okay, I'm going to start now. And then I'll send them a long text either throughout the session or at the end of the session, and let them know, okay, this is everything that I discovered. This is everything that I did. And then I just send them like a PayPal link or my Square link, and they pay me that way. So I can do it however makes the client feel comfortable.
So I'm hearing non-invasive.
Non-invasive. Yeah. Very
your
gentle.
own comfort level.
Mm-hmm.
And a starting point.
Yes.
Right. And these are the things that are coming up for me. Like, like, I mean, I've had energy work because I've been a massage therapist, so I've had lots of different kinds of energy work. I mean, I've had invasive body work, like I've done I've been Rolfed, like that's like horrible, like, oh my God, they're like inside my body. But I like Reiki because it is just so gentle, and whatever comes up, but it just is gentle and calming and safe feeling, even if you've been assaulted.
Yes. Yes.
So
And
like,
I really appreciate the fact that it is that way. You know, I can help clients on their comfort level. A lot of times too, when you're doing Reiki, even for those who aren't psychic mediums, when you're doing Reiki and you're tapping into that energy, you are still probably going to get messages from either the client's guides or from, you know, family members, because you're tapping into that energy. And if they've got someone nearby that has to get a message to them, they're going to use whoever they can connect to get that message delivered. So a lot of Reiki practitioners and Reiki masters will also find that they're giving those clients more information than just the healing energy. They're giving them messages. And I do that for clients with or without Reiki. But when I'm in that mode of Reiki, it's very, very specific to that person. And the messages are sometimes super, super clear. And it's what they need to help them through that journey, whatever they're going through, that their body is holding on to, because we hold on to all of our everything that we've gone through, right? Our life is a journey. Well, our energy reflects that. It reflects the journey that we've been on. So if you've gone through something traumatic and you think that you've done the therapy and you've gone through it, I can actually tap in when I'm doing Reiki. And if you haven't really energetically let go of that and healed that, that's going to come up. And so I can help them by gently talking about whatever the issue is that's come up and give them direction on how they can finally work through it energetically so that their body isn't continuing to carry that trauma and that issue, and their energy isn't going to continue carrying it. Does that make sense?
yeah.
That's like
boom.
mic drop.
I was like, dang, that's rad, because we talk a lot about how we store our issues in our tissues.
Yep.
And they come up, and we keep having them come up, and we talk about how many times did you journal about it, how many times did you do the things, the right things. And so if you are feeling stuck, this is great, like this is awesome. Boom.
Yeah.
You need to go see Francine. Yeah, don't be stuck. I love it. Oh my gosh.
So Francine, our topic this week is fear of death. And it just so happened that you were able to come on this week with us. And I think it is so magical that fits so well with you and what it is you do, because you deal with these energetic spirits who are, sometimes in limbo, right? And trying to help them move past that. So I don't know, maybe people could get their house back or whatever the case may be. And so can you take a minute about maybe what that looks like?
Yeah. So basically a stuck spirit, that's what we typically call a ghost, right? Or haunting. And they can happen anywhere. They can happen in your home, they can happen in your place of business, they can happen in the street, right, in an intersection, or anywhere where something traumatic, maybe not even traumatic, but where someone has died and they weren't ready to go, right? They feel like they have unfinished business, or maybe they feel like they're not worthy enough to cross over into whatever we want to call it, heaven, nirvana, paradise, whatever we want to call it. Maybe they feel that they're not worthy to go through that light, to go on. And so they just kind of stay stuck. They're like in limbo. Sometimes they know they're dead and they've chosen not to cross over. And sometimes they don't know they're dead because it happened so fast and they weren't ready, right? And so I go in and I find out who they are. I try and get age. I'm not always real good with age. I try and get year, and I try and figure out what it was that happened. And then it's like a counselor. If you've ever seen the movie Casper, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And how he's the counselor for the ghosts. That's kind of what I do. I talk to them, why are you still here? What's going on? Is there a message that I need to deliver for you? Is there, something I can help you with? And a lot of times it's they weren't ready or they feel unworthy. They didn't know they were dead. And so it's helping them realize that they were dead. And then it's helping them go through that light. And what I do is I pull a family member or someone that they might have been close through. I open that doorway. And you have to know how to do it carefully, because when you're opening that doorway to the other side, anything can come through, right? So you have to be careful when you're doing that. So I carefully open the doorway and I ask that a family member or a friend that they were close to come through to help them go through. So they'll reach their hand out, they'll help talk to that person who is stuck in limbo. And then the two of us will help guide them to that realization that they're going to be better off if they go through that light. So then they'll go through that light and they'll cross over. So for those who are living with situations like that, where things are going bump in the night, or maybe you've seen the shadows or you've seen apparitions or things are mysteriously moving, and you've had the home inspection and it's not rodents and it's not, insects, and it's not your animals playing tricks on you and it's not your family members, I'm the person that you need to call, because I'll come in and tell you who or what it is. And I have a game plan. We can take care of it. We can, if it was their house before and all they want is to make sure you're taking care of it properly, I can help them, be reassured that yes, the house is going to be taken care of. Yes, the property is going to look gorgeous. You just have to trust them. And hopefully they move on. Or if they want to live in harmony with the person that's there, I help them figure out how to set up those boundaries so that then they can both coexist. My sister has a situation like that where one of the previous owners on the property didn't want to leave, and she kind of stuck around, and everything I did to try and get her to move on just wasn't working. She was super stubborn. She just wanted to hang around. So we set up boundaries, right? She cannot bother my sister when she's in her bedroom sleeping at night. She cannot mess with the dog. She cannot, do X, Y, and Z. And as long as my sister did, whatever it was that we came up with, they live in peace and harmony. Every once in a while, she will show up if my sister hasn't held up her end of the bargain. And then I have to remind my sister, okay, well, why do you think she showed up? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's because I didn't do X, Y, and Z. Okay, well, then do X, Y, and Z, and then maybe it'll go back to being nice again. She does, and everything works out. So, I help people either live in harmony with the spirits that are there, or we do our best, and it could be several sessions to finally get them to move on and move out.
Right. I have a situation actually here on my property. The people that lived here before were questionable, and I'm sure there were interesting things that happened. And so there's a spirit in my daughter's closet that we, occasionally throws things off the shelves in the closet, knocks the whole bar down with her clothes on it, the whole thing. And it's like, okay, this didn't happen on accident. It didn't happen because you didn't put your stuff away right or whatever. Things aren't just falling over because of whatever the case may be. No, you have a spirit in your closet that likes to throw things on occasion. Yeah, I need to get in touch with you and have you come over and take a look.
Yeah, I'd come over and find out why this person is throwing things around, and maybe get them to either stop doing that or help them to cross over, right, so that your house can be nice and peaceful and yours. So absolutely.
Yeah, and we're getting to the point where she's transitioning into adulthood, and then she's got the bigger closet. It's a big closet.
It's like a little
It's
room.
like a
It's
big
awesome.
closet.
Like you want that closet. Like
So my son wants to move into that room, so he has the bigger closet to store his stuff because he doesn't like a whole lot of clutter out. He likes to store most of his stuff in the closet. So yeah, definitely gonna have to make that happen before then.
Yeah,
for sure.
Because she handles it very well, but I think we feel like he may not deal with that as
He
well.
might freak out a little bit.
Might freak out a little bit. For sure.
Um, so again, someone can just email you, and we've dropped her email address in the links and the descriptions below, so you guys can contact her. And she's a local gal, so if you do need her, you can find her here in our local Snohomish County area. So if you're needing some property help. I was like, I know you've helped on properties, rooms. Like I heard some really awesome testimonies from some people in our group. Like it's really awesome. The work you do is really cool.
Yeah, I love doing what I do. I love helping people reclaim their space as their space. But mostly I love helping those spirits who are stuck, right? They've got a story, and it's interesting to find out their story and then to help them. So it's like I said, I feel like I'm a counselor to the dead because I'm helping them heal and helping them come to terms with what's happened to them so that they can finish their transition and go home into that energy, into that light, into that love. And that's very, very rewarding for me to do that. So that's like one of my favorite things to do is to go out and investigate properties. And for that, I don't even need to be in the same city or state or country as you, once again, because it is just tapping into that universal energy and being able to see what's going on at your house. So I can see the layout of your house. I can tell you who's there. I can tell you what's going on. And I can either help them, the spirits, remotely to move on, or I can give the homeowner things that they can do to cleanse their house and set up those boundaries and help them reclaim their space back. So I don't have to be right there at your property if you would prefer that I'm not there. But I will travel up and down Western Washington area. So I don't have a problem driving to you and doing that if that's what you would prefer. So
I think that's fabulous.
You're amazing.
You are amazing.
I didn't know that you could do that. I didn't know that. So
thank
you.
It's kind of weird that, it's one of those things where I don't, for me, because I've had other intuitives and other people who are gifted with, energy, who have told me how amazed they are at my gifts. And the thing is that I don't see it like that. This is just who I am. And I'm just using my gifts the way I know I'm supposed to. And so I'm just here to be of service to others and to help other people. So I don't see it like as this amazing, it's just who I am and what I do.
Right.
So
well, I honor you and tapping into your own intuition and, just really like I have this gift. I'm, going to use it for the benefit of others. And so thank you so much for sharing with us today about who you are and all the wonderful things that you do. It has been a very deep week this week when we talk about fear of death. And I think it's really important that we talk about death and dying and things like that because it is a part of life.
Right. It's part of the cycle. It's part of the journey. And there's all sorts of pieces that we can be knowledgeable about instead of being fearful about.
Right.
I agree. And, there are a lot of people who are afraid of death. And the thing is that nobody dies alone. Nobody dies alone. Even if you're alone in your room and that's where you die and you're not surrounded physically by people, you're still not alone. Your loved ones who have gone before you are there to greet you and help you through that transition.
I think
And
the visual I'm getting that might help people is like from Harry Potter, like how all of his family comes out of the wand and they're all around him. Is that what you're kind of, I mean,
yeah,
for a visual for
yeah.
people?
Or in the last movie where he had the resurrection stone, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And he sees all of his family around him, right? And he's
Yes.
able to talk to them. And he asks them to stay with him as he goes to his death. And of course, their response is, "We'll always be with you." And that's the thing that people need to understand. You know, even in the end, I'll probably be afraid of death. Nobody wants to leave this world physically. I mean, well, there are some of us when we get up into our, late 90s and hundreds where we're just kind of going, oh, I've seen it all, I'm bored, right? But most of us are going to go, as we're approaching that, final moment, we're going to be, what am I really going to see? What is really going to happen? How is this going to, happen? But we're going to be surrounded by our friends and family who have gone before us. So if you're with someone and you're noticing that they're looking around or they're following something in the room, this has happened a lot when I've been with family members who have been close to passing, and you'll see that they're looking at something, they're locking eyes with something, they're following something in the room, right? And doctors and nurses will explain it away. Oh, they just do that as they get, closer to the, to their death. No, they're doing it because they're seeing their friends and family. As you're getting closer to that moment, that veil is thinner because your spirit is getting ready to leave your physical body. So you're able to connect more easily to that energy, and you're going to see your loved ones there. You're going to see that they're ready to help welcome you and make that transition as easy for you as possible. So if you're with someone and they're, going through that transition time and you're noticing that they're looking around the room, but they're not looking at anything, they're looking at, their loved one, their husband who went before them, their mom or dad, whoever it is that they're connecting to, that they always felt the strongest pull to, right? That person's going to be in the room with them. They're going to be the ones that are going to help them through that transition. So nobody dies alone. Nobody.
It's just beautiful.
That is beautiful.
I'm like tearing up over here. Like, that is beautiful. Like,
I've helped a lot of clients as well when they've had family members that are going through that transition, by comforting those clients by letting them know what family members are around their loved one who's getting ready to transition. So I'll let them know, yeah, it's their mom or dad, or it's, their aunt or uncle, or it's their husband or wife or whatever. I'll give descriptions of the person if I'm not getting a clear feeling of exactly who that person was to the one who's passing, but I'll give them descriptions, and usually they know who it is by the descriptions that I give. And so it helps to comfort those of us who are going to be left behind in the physical world to know that your loved one is being met by, another loved one, another family member.
yeah,
So
Absolutely.
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 Oh my goodness. Wow.
I'm just blown away with everything we've talked about this week, honestly. So thank you so much, Francine, for joining us today and
absolutely, my
linking arms
pleasure.
with us and being part of our community and being part of our table. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here.
You're one of our few guests that we've actually been able to hug.
Like, actually in person, right?
Yeah.
So, and then I also want to take a minute and thank our listeners for listening and hanging in there this week while we talk about some really, really tough stuff, because I think it's important. We feel like it's important that we talk about these really tough things, because these are all things we face in business, in life. The loss of someone you care about could be an employee, a coworker,
yeah,
a teammate, a friend,
the visitor you might have might be in your home office. You're trying to work, from home and be a solopreneur, and you don't know what to do. You're like, what is happening? Why am I stuck? Well, maybe this is an opportunity for you to reach out to Francine and see what's happening.
Right. Or you might feel really distracted by something and not sure what that is. And I can tell you it's not in your head.
Right. I think that's so important. We've talked a lot about that being valid this week. Like, we are valid. The things that we're sensing and feeling, just because nobody listened to us when we were young doesn't mean that we're not valid now.
Absolutely.
And so if you needed to hear that today, you are valid. What you're experiencing is valid. And your emotions around that are valid. So go ahead and take a minute and figure out what your next right step needs to be.
Yep. And, if you are experiencing things that are out of the ordinary, you're probably not crazy, right?
Probably not.
But if you guys are looking for resources, or you need some resources, please reach out. We will help you find the resources that you need in any situation. It's kind of our mission to be able to help uplift and support women in business, and provide them the resources they need in order to continue to improve and grow and flourish.
I want to say it's really amazing, Francine. You've really paved the way to connect to who you are, and showing up in the world as who you are. When you're doing it, you can see how you're just like, this is just me. And that's how Charlie and I feel about this podcast. This is just us. Like, we love doing this. We love connecting to people. This is seriously is our passion. And
super fun too.
And I love it that we can see your passion and share that with more people, so that they can see that you are just literally showing up as who you are supposed to be in the world. And then that also paves the way for the next woman to show up as who she's meant to be in the world. And I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I think it's important that we, show up as our true, authentic, genuine selves. Because that it does nobody any good if we don't. If we deny who we are, if we try and be somebody else, or we try and fit into what we think other people want us to be, it never works out, and we become miserable, and we get lost, and then we have to go through all of that. Right. And then you have to go through all of that. Oh my God, I have to find myself, and what am I doing? Well, no, if you just, realize that this is who you are, and in order to be happy and fully, a part of your own life, you have to show up as your genuine, authentic self.
Right. And then you also don't end up bumping heads with the universe, because the universe will shove you through a door and kick it shut if it needs to, right?
Oh yeah, I've had that happen.
Shove, slam, bolt it shut. You will not do this anymore.
You're done. You're there, right?
It's a sign, right? Like, it's a time to there's a change.
Right.
Absolutely.
Upcoming events, we have podcasts 4 days a week, Mindset Mondays. We've got Tuesday afternoons, Wednesday and Friday mornings, and next week is going to be fire. It is the last week of this quarter. Ooh. And we are closing out our cause of the quarter. This quarter is Now Networking. And we finish up on the 31st with the Now Networking Gala here locally.
I fear there's only a few tickets left.
There is only a few tickets left.
So if you haven't got your ticket, get your ticket, because we're going to get dressed up.
Right.
And go hang out with people.
Right.
And you can come hang out with us for a great cause.
Right. Absolutely. And been on some really cool stuff. And Rand Hall is doing a fabulous job as part of the planning and things for that. So I'm really excited about that.
Again, one more time, Francine, we just can't thank you enough for joining us today and sharing your beautiful light with us. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me. It was a blessing and a pleasure. I appreciate it very much.
And to all of you, please go check out our website, www.womeninleadershipbsfb.com. We love you all. Thank you again for joining us.
Namaste.
Namaste.